Yo, hey, what's up guys? It's me, Eric64 again for another video. This video will be kind of like an upgrade again, or like an update actually. And yeah, that's kind of how this works. We are very close to actually going into TBC, and I kind of wanted to clean up some of my information here. I already made a video about this, and you will see lots of stuff which is really similar to that as well. Not really like, there won't be many things that are new here, but some of the stuff is new here. So basically I made a video talking about best in slot phase 1 and also best in slot pre-raid best in slot as well for Fury Warriors. And also I think, no, it was only Fury Warriors. That however also relied on an older list. This list now got updated, actually a couple of days ago, as you can see right here. My older video was like actually about an older list from 2021, and there was some outdated information about it. I will change the description and also the title of my older video so people kind of know, okay, this video is not really up to date. This guide has been made by BIS, one of the more prominent members of the Fight Club Discord. In general, if you want to search up for any information, the Fight Club Discord is always a really good source. There are so many channels where you can read through some stuff, and it also gets updated regularly. So yeah, that's where this guide is from. I take no credit for this. I will also link this one in the description, so you can read through it if you want to. But yeah, this is more of a video format. Yeah, it's kind of lazy. It's true. I don't want to deny that. But I want to just, to be honest, talk about some warrior stuff here again. So yeah, you will see some changes here compared to the one I made earlier, and I will also have like my opinion about some of the stuff also changed here. So yeah, we can look through some stuff here. So yeah, let's just start. Again, also if you like these videos, you know, like and subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. You know, the usual stuff. So what these guides are really good about is they have lots of really great general information. If you're ever wondering why, for example, a certain piece is above one other, that's always nice to go back to these guides, read through some information. I know reading is hard sometimes, but it's really useful. That's what I really like about these like warrior guides, gearing guides. There's always sometimes like a small text bit that explains, okay, why a certain item is better than others. So yeah, all of this gear also has been crunched. That's why some items are actually better now than previously stated in the older guide, but we will get into that. So first of all, one of the first really big decisions we need to make is if we go Aldor or scryers. I will maybe also make a separate video about this because it's a pretty big important thing that you need to think about while you are playing TBC. But yeah, that's kind of on my drawing board. So basically we have two important reputations we can choose from. We can only choose one of them, and the other one will be, I think, hated if I'm correct, or around that. So we can, yeah, so it's really important what you choose. These two reputations give you different rewards as well. For example, Aldor, if you are exalted with them, you will get Vindicator's brand, like access to buying this item. This is a good, like a really good one-handed sword that you can use, and it's also kind of free to get since you will probably farm lots of reputation. Like this is kind of like your main reputation in TBC that you farm. So yeah, that's obviously a really good thing. Disadvantage here, however, is many people will go for this reputation. There are also other rewards, obviously, and how you actually like improve your reputation, how you gain reputation, is basically by turning in some items, and these items can drop from different mobs throughout TBC, and depending on which reputation level you are, you need different items, and these will be really expensive. You can also buy them off the auction house. I think these zones will be farmed lots. Remember, we only have mega servers now, even the PvE servers. So yeah, and you see how packed the pre-patch is already. We have 10 layers, for example, on Spine Shatter pretty much every day. So yeah, these are going to be insanely expensive. Alternative would be scryers. These are really nice because they give you blacksmithing plans, which will actually help you level blacksmithing way easier and it's way cheaper. So that could be in consideration. Also, the reputation items are probably going to be cheaper as well, since not many people will go for scryers. So this could be a good alternative actually. But yeah, it's kinda like a decision you need to make. Do you want to go for Vindicator's brand, or do you want to level blacksmithing cheaper? Good. Now let's go through some of the items here. Not a lot has changed here compared to the older list. For example, we had stuff like, again, Master of the Deceiver. I talked about this item. Basically, this one item you can get from Badges of Justice. Also our, like, let's say order, which item you want to get first with Badges of Justice kind of changed here as well. So you can think about that. The first item is still the same, still going to be Bloodlust Brooch. But the second, third item can actually be rotated around and you can think of, oh, maybe I will go for this item instead, because yeah, some of the items are actually not that great, especially as I made it out to be, so we will get to that, however. One thing that is really important, which I only like barely mentioned in my older video, is this meta gem. So basically, helmet slots will give us like a unique gem slot. In this case, it's a meta gem slot. And this means, like, obviously people who played further expansions are familiar with this one. We can put the meta gem in our helmet. Only helmets can have the socket. So that's really important, and not every helmet has this. For example, if you look at this helmet, this one doesn't have a meta gem socket. But Master of the Deceiver, for example, has one. These are really important because these gems are pretty much as strong as they are. They are basically kind of functioning like talents actually. For example, this one would give you 12 agility and 3% increased critical damage, which is really similar to like Impale, for example. So yeah, really good gem obviously. However, this one is bound, for example, to a reputation to get this one as like a jewel crafter to get this receipt, and you need to be exalted with the consortium. And this is obviously not something everyone will have right at the start. Now this can mean it could be pretty difficult to get these, but I'm pretty certain and pretty keen on that people are going to know live TBC really hard, and you will maybe wait like actually a couple of days until someone has this, but it also will be pretty expensive. So we also have some alternatives without meta gem sockets. For example, the best one is basically this one, Overlord's Helmet of Second Sight. Also, let me zoom in a bit and let me remove this so it's a bit easier to read. So yeah, this one is a really nice helmet because it just gives you 3 sockets, good stats, and doesn't have a meta socket, however. But it's easier to get, you just get it from a quest, which is nice. The helmet everyone should have is Helm of the Claw. This one is like something you can get from a dungeon and a dungeon quest. And it's really easy to get, and one of the better helmets you have in the game. It almost has 1% hit. It looks hideous, like it looks really bad. This is one of the meme helmets actually in TBC. And yeah, still it's a really good helmet. Other helmets are harder to get. We have a Helm of the Assassination, which you can get from a dungeon, which will be contested by other level bearers as well. Especially obviously by rogues, since this is like part of the rogue set, as you can see. And we have Master of the Deceiver. This is not really contested, but it costs 50 Badges of Justice, and it's not something you're going to get like really easy. So yeah. Shoulders. Best shoulders to get are Rage Steel shoulders. You can kind of ignore everything else on the list, unless you're like gearing up to Rage Steel shoulders, obviously. You have some other options as well. One thing that didn't get really mentioned before was Boulders of Slaughter. These are also really good, but they drop from Heroic Dungeon, Heroic Shattered Halls. Not really a dungeon where lots of things are for you, to be honest. But still, this dungeon will be done a lot, especially by Protection Paladins, because they want to get that Trinket. So yeah. This is just one thing that is available here. However, Rage Steel Shoulders are pretty much the best one. You get this by blacksmithing. The receipt is kind of interesting. I talked about this in my older videos, but all of the blacksmithing receipts basically drop in Shadow Moon Valley, if I didn't forget one. But what I mean by that is the rage steel rare items in this case, and they drop by random mobs, and they are also bind on pickup. So you would need to have obviously the profession, and I'm pretty sure maybe also you need to have a certain level even of profession. I think that was the case with maybe some other profession items instead, engineering maybe, or maybe a later expansion. But yeah, definitely you need to have the profession, and then you can try to farm this. These will be really, really sought after at the start. You will see every warrior running around with these because they are really good actually. And yeah, 2 sockets, lots of strength, some additional stats. There are pretty much no better shoulders. And they're also pretty decent, like pretty equal to the Warbringer shoulder plates from phase 1, which are the tier 4 shoulders. Which is obviously kind of crazy. But yeah. Cloak, there's only really also one cloak you want to get, and that's even more of a bigger difference than the shoulders, which is Vengeance Wrap. This cloak is insanely stacked. It is so good that you are basically using it until phase 3. It is that insanely good. So yeah, definitely try to get this. This will be really expensive, however. It is only going to be available by tailors. So it's another profession item, but it's coming from a really rare drop. So it's like a wall drop, BOE drop, kind of. Think of Lionheart helmet, stuff like that. So yeah, will be really hard to get. Why this cloak is so strong? Let me just explain some of the stuff here. Basically, this is a Shroud of Dominion, but on steroids. So if you don't know what Shroud of Dominion is, we got like a cloak from Sephiron, which gave us 50 attack power, 1% crit. This one basically is a TBC version of it. And it also gives us 1 socket as well. So basically we get 52 attack power here and 23 critical strike rating. Don't forget, like I mentioned this in every video, but 22 crit is 1% crit for us warriors. So yeah, so basically 1% crit here, 52 attack power, and more importantly 1 socket. Sockets, if you have items with sockets, these items will last longer because you can sporadically obviously use better and better gems on these items, and also they will help you maybe to reach stat caps as well. So yeah, that's why this item is so insanely stacked. Additionally, with like all of this offensive stats you are getting here, you can also put another offensive gem into here, and you get like so many stats from this one single item. We have some other cloaks which are nice as well. For example, this one, Never Fury Cape, of some Heroic Botanica. We have the 25 Badges of Justice cloak, which you should only really get, to be honest, if you are really lacking on your cloak. Like if you have a really bad cloak, you can think of getting this one. With the Cloak of Inciter. This one is really nice. It drops some Shadow Labs. It has like really nice stats in general. It gives you 1% hit. So if you are lacking hit, this is actually a good piece to pick up. It doesn't require an heroic as well. So definitely one thing you should look out for while you are leveling. And you have the classic option, Shroud of Dominion, which I mentioned previously. So yeah, you can see it's really similar. It has just way less crit and has 50 attack power, no socket. But yeah, you also have this BOE drop. So if you have a bit of gold, you can also think of this one. But yeah, definitely try to save up some gold. Vengeance Wrap is pretty much the item you need to chase. For chest, we have Rage Steel Breastplate. And this is like another profession item from blacksmiths. This one isn't like that insanely good like Rage Steel Shoulders. But the good thing about the set is actually if you have 2 items, you only need 2 items, you get 20 hit rating as well. Which is like insane. That's like a really big amount of hit. It's basically like 15.8 hit rating is 1% hit. So yeah, you can think of it actually even a bit more than 1% hit, which is nice. His stats, 50 strength, really basic, 29 crit. So yeah, even like a bit more than 2% crit as well. It's pretty nice to have. So yeah, definitely one item which is nice, but you have also some other items here which you can think of. You don't really 100% need to get this. I would recommend, however, to go for the set. It kind of depends if you need the hit or not. but this will help you to go into the death wish spec earlier than you can actually, because of all of the hit you have. We have, for example, Doomplate chest guard. One thing that is going to be available in dungeons is we have actually something where we have like dungeon sets. Depending on which, like, there are some sets for specific classes as well, as you saw earlier, like the assassination helmet. And we also have items which kind of revolve around different like item sets. In this case, for example, we have like a plate set, we have like a leather set and such stuff like that. So yeah, Doomplate would be the plate set, plate DPS set in this case, and it's also pretty nice. So for example, this chest is pretty big actually. 3 sockets, 30 strength, also 19 crit. Basically, again, like almost 1% crit here. And if we have 2 Doomplate items, we get 35 hit rating, which is crazy. That's more than pretty much 2% hit. So yeah, also pretty nice. We have some easier stuff to get. For example, this one drops in Alcatraz, one of the harder dungeons, but not the heroic version actually, it drops in the normal one. We have this one, Exarch Protector, which you can get by doing a quest. This has some defense on it, which would look a bit weird, but still you can see the stats are pretty nice, and 3 yellow sockets, 30 strength is pretty crazy. Then we have Chestplate of Aldor. This is from a quest. This quest actually gives you lots of really nice items. You have this chest here, you have also Shattrath leggings, which you will see later on as well, but for us warriors we have actually a better pair of legs we can get from a quest, so we don't really need to get Shattrath leggings. So a Chestplate of Aldor is probably the chest you're going to rock with early on, until you can get Rage Steel Breastplate. And again, this piece also gives you 22 hit rating, pretty nice. I think I used this for a pretty long time actually. For bracers we have the best ones again being a crafted one, Black Felsteel bracers. They're going to be technically the best ones. We can look at them here. 26 strength, 15 stamina, 22 crit. Basically how this works, they are just like an upgraded Wrist Guards of Vengeance. So if you know the classic version, this one drops from next Rammers. You can pretty much compare them. In classic they give you 24 strength, 1 crit, 10 stamina. Again, since of the stat conversion, it's not 1% crit at level 70 anymore. So yeah, you can see it's the critical strike rating. And Black Felsteel bracers are pretty much the same item. They have 2 strength more, 5 more stamina, and obviously more crit. So you have that 1% crit again. 22 critical strike rating, again 1% crit. These are a similar thing like a Vengeance Wrap, where you have again another really rare wardrobe receipt you can get, and then you can craft these, but it's not worth it. I would highly discourage to get these unless you have tons of gold to spend, because it's like way better to spend your gold on something else. Instead, what you should do is actually just get Martial Plate bracers. These are ones which you can get from PvP. You can see the price here, around like almost 12k honor, 20 Warsong gold Mark of Honors, and this is definitely something you can pick up right when you are level 70. These are really good. 1 socket, 1 crit, also some resilience, so they are also nice for maybe if you think about tanking. Yeah, they are really nice and way easier to get. And yeah, I wouldn't really go for this item. I would just go for one of these. For example, I have Wrist Guards of Vengeance. I got them really recently, so I would chill with them while I'm leveling. And then I would grab pretty much Martial Plate bracers. And also I would ignore this item because maybe you have some like hunters, and depending on what kind of group you are running, you have maybe some like Lorux hunters that could use this way better than you. And again, at level 70 you can just grab this and you are golden. So yeah, then you can sit on these until you get the one from, I think it's Groot's Lair. I think it drops from High King Molgar, but we will see that in when I make the Phase 1 Best in Slot set. But yeah, that's what I would recommend, so ignore this item pretty much. It's like way too expensive. It's not really worth it unless you have so much gold that you don't really care about it. We have some other stuff here as well. We have H leather bindings. These are really nice as well. You would think of, oh, these are just green. We have one zone in the game in Neverstorm, which has some quests available, and the items you can get from these quests are pretty insane. So these are like perfect if you are, let's say, a fresh new player and you didn't have enough time to grind some gear in Classic. You should definitely check out Neverstorm and some of the quests there. They are crazy stacked. Some of our items are even pre-rate BIS from that place, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that place has really insanely stacked items. Or this is actually not from Neverstorm, it's from Shadowmoon Valley. I'm stupid. But yeah, this place obviously as well. So like the endgame zones offer you some quests which are catered around like level 70, level 68, 69, around that. And they will give you actually some pretty nice rewards. But yeah, these are actually not from Neverstorm, these are from Shadowmoon Valley. So 20 crit, 40 attack power, pretty nice. But again, all of these are better, and yeah, like I said, farm some order now, you still have some time. You only really need 12k, and then you can save it and grab these bracers here, and then you're golden. For hands, we have pretty much two choices here we can make. We have fell leather gloves and we have rage steel gloves. So fell leather gloves are going to be made by leatherworking. Again, this is one receipt that also requires some reputation as a leatherworker. I think it is also consortium if I'm correct. And yeah, consortium is pretty correct. You pretty much need it for jewel crafting and leatherworking. And lots of people want to get like the fell leather set. It is really good. You can see this item. You will see another item as well in a second. But yeah, 17 hit rating, some crit, some attack power, 2 sockets, pretty insane. This is a good item if you need the hit. If you don't need the hit, you can go for rage steel gloves instead, which are the blacksmithing equivalent here. Again, 35 strength, some crit, and yeah, they don't have any hit on them. You can kind of think about them as like flame guard gauntlets we had in Molten Core, for example. They're a bit similar than like these, but they don't offer you a straight attack power here, just lots of strength, which is pretty nice. Again, Doomplate gauntlets here also are nice. These are nice obviously if you have the chest, the Doomplate chest. You can use both of them and then you have lots of it, which you can play around with. Yeah, lots of socket, lots of strength as well. But we also really want, as warriors, is obviously crit. We lost lots of crit because of all of the world buffs that are pretty much gone. So you will run around with way less crit than before. And obviously you need to get some items which give you lots of crit. That doesn't mean you should stack lots of agility, that doesn't make sense. But getting items which have lots of critical strike rating on them is really good for warriors. And we have gore in this case as well. If you have it, perfectly fine, you can use it until you get something better. So yeah, that's what I will do. I have these hands. I don't really care about like the dungeon items for my hands. I can just use this and I'm pretty much good. We have some other hand recommendation. We have flash hander gauntlets. These actually are also pretty correct. And I'm pretty sure these are best installed for red paladins. You get these by doing this quest here, which is a Neverstorm. No, it's Neverstorm. And yeah, you can pick some items here. And yeah, some of the items are pretty nice. You also have these bracers here, which aren't too bad, to be honest. Like, we have some healing stuff. And all of this is green, which sounds kind of ridiculous, but it's a pretty high level quest. So you might not do this as a start, but let's say you are dungeon grinding a lot, you are level 70, you can go to Neverstorm, you can go to the end game zones and do some quests here to get some of your items and also gain some gold, obviously. Belt, Deathwatch Girdle is the best one easily. It is really good. Basically, this is one item you should 100% chase. It's insanely good. You can see it right here, 20 crit, 2 sockets, some strength, some stamina. Really nice. So obviously something you should really try to get. It's like the best belt you can have. And drops from a heroic, so Sapphire calls heroic, you need to spam it. Yeah, it's pretty nice. There are some alternatives. You have this belt here, but I wouldn't really recommend it. Again, it's a leather belt. It's also an epic piece from an heroic, which will be really rare. So yeah, just rather give this to your rogues and such. Would be better. One easy choice you can make is actually grabbing martial plate belt. This one is something you can again get by PvP. 18k honor, 40 Arafi basin marks. Would I recommend it? Yeah, kind of. I'm still thinking about maybe grabbing this one myself, but it's not one of the best belts you can have, and Deathwatch Girdle is kind of free if you actually do like the heroics with a group, since again you will probably not invite other people who are also looking for this item. So yeah, I'm not too sure about it, to be honest, if I'm going to grab this. Again, if you have Girdle of the Mentor, this is like pretty much the best option you have from Classic. Yes, you can keep using. Has like lots of stats, drops some necks. So yeah, you can think about that. You can also sit on this one and then try to get Deathwatch Girdle. And you have some other alternatives here from quests. This one is an alliance only. This will give you lots of hit, 24 hit rating, which is really nice. But the agility is, yeah, and you have 50 attack power. Again, isn't too bad. Will give you, I think, 1% crit. But yeah, it's actually a pretty decent belt that you can get pretty easily. Alliance only, however. Chatref's Champion belt, however, is a really similar piece here. But yeah, gives you intellect. So these belts are not that great. And obviously, like Girdle of the Mentor is going to be better. But again, you can kind of play around. You have many options here. Legs, basically the best ones are Midnight Leg Guards. And they are pretty much better than the next choice by a lot. I remember when I played TBC Classic, I was chasing this item a lot. Every single day I did Heroic Slave Pants. And I think I only saw this a couple of times. Every time some mage was running it because they wanted to get the trinket from that place. That one was HR'd, so it was really easy to get into groups because everyone pretty much did it. And only like casters heavily wanted to get one item. Slave Band is, I would say, pretty much the most important heroic dungeon as a warrior. So if you don't want to spam lots of heroics, 100% at least try to do Slave Bands every day. You can only do an heroic once per day. So yeah, then you need to wait another day so you can do it again. So I definitely do that because you have two really good items from that place, from the last boss. So yeah, you want to farm this all the time. Why these are so strong? Lots of hit, 3 sockets, crit, attack power. So yeah, pretty big. I think these are contested by many people. I would say probably like warriors, rogues, hunters maybe as well. I'm actually not too sure. Even maybe enhancement shamans as well. So yeah, if you have a really stacked physical group, you might need to do multiple runs for this one. One alternative is we have Cleft to Fight Leggings, which you can get from a quest. This is like one chain quest you have, and at the end you can see like lots of quests in Blade Edge Mountains. And at the end you can pick this item: 30 strength, 30 agility, 24 stamina, 17 hit, and 18 expertise. That's what I meant by you don't really need to make a choice here for, like, for example, special delivery to Shadow City, because you have these legs here, which are in this case also an alternative you have here, because they will give you some hit rating also as well, which are pretty nice. But yeah, not as good as Midnight Leg Guard. So that's kind of the issue here. Next on boots, and this is again where we will see another fell leather item. Fell leather boots are the best ones by far. And it's also one of the cheaper ones you can craft. This is one item you should 100% go for. The huge amount of hits this item gives you will make it way easier to gear and also go into the death wish spec, stuff like that. So yeah, 100% you should try to get these. Again, these are bound to reputation, also bound to consortium. You can see it right here. You need to be honored. So this is not something people will have like right from the get-go. Like, let's say you are one of the first people who hit level 70, might not be something you can get immediately. But yeah, you definitely should aim for this. We have some other items here instead as well, however. we have one like heroic item, which are these boots here, 25 stamina, 13 hit. You can see, however, this doesn't have any sockets and has like way less hit than these, but it has like a bit more critical strike rating and more attack power. Yeah, again, these items are really useful as well, because since they have sockets, it is really easy to make it like work. And also, if you have like better gear later on, let's say you need one item where you actually need some hit, you can easily slot this in. So that's why these items are insanely useful. Like 25 hit rating is a ton of it. It's crazy good. Yoshatadi Wrought Greaves. This is a really easy item to get. You just need to do a quest. So this is something you can easily obtain, and then you can go on. You also have the PvP item here, which you can think of using. But to be honest, I wouldn't really recommend it. It's too much honor, and also you need to get Eye of the Storm marks. If you are someone who really enjoys PvP or ever, or if you are someone who is also gearing like their tank as well, it should be a good option to go for these, since they give you lots of resilience. But yeah, we also have some alternatives here. We have these boots here again, drop from a quest, which you can get from a quest, and yeah, they're also decent. Again, I don't really like the new Wowhead setup, like layout. I liked when you had like the gearing thing at the top where you could see everything, but yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. So this is one of the big changes here, the next slot. In my previous video, I mentioned how good the Choker of Vile Intent is, but it is actually not worth to get. This was a pretty big mistake I made, to be honest, because honestly, I didn't really crunch the number. I actually crunched the numbers by myself, but I didn't like compare everything, and I was also too keen on like the hit rating, value of hit rating and stuff like that. We have lots of options to get actually hit rating. Some things are a bit harder to get, but yeah. So for the next slot, we have one item we really want to get, which is Elementa and Chain of the Unbroken. I talked about this item in my earlier video as well. However, I said I think the Choker of the Vile Intent is a better choice to make, because it gives you like hit and such. But yeah, this item is pretty much the best one. And it's also the best neck throughout all of phase 1. So yeah, it is that crazy. So this also drops from Quick Mirror. And yeah, so you have two items that you really want to get from that boss. This neck here and also Midnight Blackguards. So yeah, doing slave pens every day is 100% worth it. People will also do some skip runs as well. So they can just get to the last bosses really fast to get these items. I think at the start people will probably not do it because everyone needs badges, but later on I think people will do it, or people will just do it right from the start and farm their badges somewhere else. So yeah, really good item. Definitely something you should pick up. It's really great. And yeah, it's really strong. Phase 1 best in slot item pretty much. The alternatives are Harumat's Bargain, which requires Exalted for reputation with the Consortium. Unless you are like a jewel crafter or like a level worker or something like that, you probably shouldn't really go for this item. Like getting Exalted will take some time, so yeah. But this is like an option you have here. Really nice base stats here on this item. And the run everyone is going to be running is Natasha's Choker. This is something you can get from a quest really easily. 10 hit, 15 crit, 50 attack power. So yeah, pretty easy to grab. Rings. I also talked about some rings and talked about, okay, you shouldn't get the badges of just this item ring. But yeah, no, I kind of changed my mind and didn't really change my mind. I will talk about it here. But yeah, for rings, there are also some changes here. Best rings you can get, pre-raid best in slots. Pre-raid best in slot is pretty much the Ring of Arathi Warlords. This one is from the Badges of Justice vendor and Shapeshifter Signet. Ring of Arathi Warlords will give you like some nice stats here. 1 crit, 48 attack power, 24 stamina. So you can kind of think about this one as like Ring of Karaji Fury. What's nice about this ring as well is it gives you lots of stamina, which is obviously really useful. This one gives you that really rare expertise stats. Many physical classes are going to like get this ring because of the expertise you will have. So many people are going to farm lower city reputation. It's just that useful. So actually now the order kind of changed for Badges of Justice. I will talk about that slightly at the end when I talk about the other item, which is going to be your first purchase. We also have some other items here. We have the Shafar's Band of Brutality, which drops from like an optional boss in Heroic Mana Tomes. But this is really rare and you shouldn't really aim for this one. If you get really lucky, however, you can actually think of obviously using this one. And we have the Band of Unnatural Forces. This one drops from Lower Fab in Next Rammers. I actually got this one in my last Next Rammers, which was yesterday actually. So yeah, I'm really happy that I finally got this. I SR'd this for I don't know how many runs, and I saw I think 3 or 4. Yeah, I lost like 3 or 4 of these. This ring is really good. 52 attack power, some hit rating, 14 crit. Again, the reason why this is so good because of the raw amount of attack power you're gaining here. Actually, this ring has more attack power than the Ring of Arathi Warlords, which is pretty insane. But yeah, that's kind of how it goes. So yeah, this ring is just in general really useful, and I will use this all the throughout, pretty much pre-raid until I have like enough badges to maybe grab the Ring of Arathi Warlords. But maybe I will skip that one actually and just go for the helmet instead. Again, you can make some choices here, like switch around your gear. But yeah, this is actually really similar to the Ring of Arathi Warlords, just giving you in this case like way less crit, but has more attack power on it, and also gives you some hit rating also as well, which is kind of nice. So yeah, but again, because of the classic stat conversion crush, these items are going to be a bit worse. Yeah, but you can see we have many other rings as well here. That's also why Band of Unnatural Force is also like again so strong. You can see it's actually pretty high up on this list. It's not even in the other recommendations here. You have actually some other really decent rings here as well. Adult's Command is pretty nice, but again, Shatara Exalted is going to be pretty annoying. We have some quest rings, which are nice. For example, we have like these two here. Overseer Signet. This is pretty easy to get, and this is like one major quest you can see here, which is again in the Neverstorm. You can pick some items here at the end. So yeah, it has some hit rating on it, some strength. And you have some other stuff here from Heroics Hellfire Ramparts. This is one dungeon some people also run. This is actually a pretty decent ring as well. 23 strength, almost 1% crit. But yeah, definitely you have many choices for rings. However, the rings are not that strong. What I would recommend to do is actually definitely 100% farm Exalted Reputation with Lower City, so you can get this ring here. Shapeshifter Signet is just that good, and that will help you throughout pretty much the whole expansion, getting some of that rare expertise. And some other stuff is obviously like also Ring of Arathi Warlords. Should be one of your first purchases. I will talk about what should be your first purchases in a bit later as well. So yeah, now we talk about trinkets. You can see there's so much text here, but it's basically saying get Badge of the Swarm Guard. I'm still trying to get this trinket. I still don't have it. Yeah, it is. You can see there are so many things that are going to be mentioned here. It is pretty insane. This trinket is basically the best trinket you can use. Pretty much, I think it's mentioned here until phase 4. Yeah, it is that insane. So why this trinket is so good, and why we didn't use it in vanilla. In vanilla, basically how it worked, it's because of armor values. Armor values is something that is pretty much just a stat, and it's like really hidden as well, but it affects so much stuff. It is pretty much one of your biggest damage decreases that exist in the game. So it's kind of like I would say kind of like some hidden mechanic in the game, which is however really important, which also why people are not like really thinking about using Thunder Armor. I had already so much drama about Thunder Armor as well. But yeah, it is one of the biggest damage increases you can have if you have like Thunder the boss, Exposed Armor, Verify, stuff like that, even though it doesn't really show it immediately. Like let's say if you use some gearing and you see, for example, stuff like that, you have like an immediate effect you can see. But but with like stuff like armor and such, you don't really see it that much. But if you played like your warrior a lot, you will notice actually if the boss and so on is not is not sundered, or if the boss even has more armor than other bosses, because you will see you will do way less damage and you will have way less rage as well. But yeah, basically how it worked in vanilla is the bosses had pretty much a pretty low amount of armor. They had like around 3700 at the most. And that basically meant if you had enough armor debuffs, this meant improved exposed armor, fairy fire, and curse of wreck, you pretty much could get the boss to like almost 0 armor, which basically meant things like Badge of the Swarm Guard, which I will show you in a bit, but basically this item will give you armor penetration, are pretty useless for single target encounters, since you have all of these debuffs already, and this item doesn't really reduce a lot of armor. There were some bosses where this item, however, was really good. Stuff like cleave fights, where people don't really, can't really sunder everything really fast. Stuff like, for example, twins, where they swap around a lot. So yeah, on these fights, Badge of the Swarm Guard was pretty nice to have. Now in TBC, however, everything like the armor values got pretty much doubled. Yeah, it's like around 7000 armor. So this basically means this trinket got lots of buffs pretty much. We can't get close to 0 anymore, so we need to use items like Badge of the Swarm Guard, if we have it, if we can, to get that armor really low, because it's just a straight damage increase. So what armor does is basically it reduces the physical damage taken, and since all of our damage is physical, basically it's just a straight damage increase if we can reduce the armor of the boss. Again, this also means more rage for us, meaning we can spam more abilities, and on some fights we will have more fights which are also kind of cleave orientated. That item is going to be the best choice. Things like, for example, Hiking Molgar. If you can group everything together, you pop this trinket with other stuff and you will blast everything away. It's so insane. It's such a good trinket to use. But yeah, let's see what it actually does. This item kinda suffers from the old classic tooltip, where it says like, where pretty much the stuff that is going to be said that this item does is kind of complicated. But yeah, there's like not something where you have like other items which just say, okay, you gain this amount of armor penetration. But yeah, this is an on-use trinket, and it gives you like a chance on melee and range attack to apply armor penetration effect on you for 30 seconds. One big misconception about this trinket is that it is like a group thing, so everything gets benefits from this item, but no, it's only the user actually. So it's not like a armor penetration effect for the whole raid, it's only on you. This item, however, is already so broken just because of that. So your attacks are pretty much going to basically lower the armor, but just for yourself. So you can see it right here, to apply an armor penetration effect on you for 30 seconds, lowering the target's physical armor by 200 to your own attacks. The armor penetration effect can be stacked up to 6 times. So yeah, basically, in summary, for 30 seconds of use this item, you will have, at the start, pretty much 200 armor penetration on your own attacks. So only your own attacks are going to pretty much ignore 200 armor, and you can stack this up to 6 times. This will stack really fast as well. So yeah, you will have bunch of armor penetration. And yeah, this is pretty crazy. So on every kind of boss where you can actually use this one, you definitely want to use it. It is really good, and again, it says also on the guide. I talked about it, you can kind of replace this in phase 3 actually. But yeah, phase 4 is a Zulaman phase, to be honest. That's also where you can get another trinket. It's kind of the same story here. In phase 3 we have Madness of the Betrayer. For example, this trinket, which you can see, also gives you some armor penetration passively. But one thing I forgot to mention is actually Executioner is one enchant you can get in phase 4, and it's not available right here. Oh, it's here. This enchant will basically proc, works like Crusader. and that will give you some armor penetration on an enchant. It's a huge amount. You can see it. It's 840, and you can obviously get this on 2 weapons. So yeah, pretty insane. Other item we have here is Bloodlust Brooch. This is a really basic unused attack power trinket. We had many of them in Classic. We had like Earth Strike, Slayer's Crest, Jomgabar. So yeah, pretty simple stuff here. 72 attack power, 278 if you use the unused effect. This is basically an upgraded Slayer's Crest. This one is basically the item which you should get first from the Badges of Justice vendor. I will mention one exception in a bit. But yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Pretty simple item. You can also see it's basically 10% worse. It's 10% better than Slayer's Crest. That's kind of how it works. One item which is obviously pretty kind of famous and famous is Slayer's Crest, which drops from Next Realmers, from Sephiron. I talked about it many times. I said also like why Kiss of Spiders, to be honest, worse than this item in the long run. In Classic it's better. Kiss of Spiders better than Slayer's Crest, but not in TBC. Since all of the stat conversion pretty much nerf Kiss of the Spider in every single way, Slayer's Crest, however, doesn't get touched at all, because it's just straight attack power. And you can see the differences are actually not that big compared to Bloodlust Brooch. So if you have Slayer's Crest already, you can think about maybe getting Bloodlust Brooch a bit later and grabbing some of the other items first. But to be honest, the only thing I would maybe do is, like, it also depends on your ring situation. If your rings are really bad, you can think of just grabbing the Ring of Arathi Warlords and then Bloodlust Brooch. If you want to really save up on Badges of Justice, you can think about maybe using the Mask of the Deceiver, getting that one first and then Bloodlust Brooch. Kind of depends what you want to do. But yeah, it's a really nice trinket. Obviously, Slayer's Crest. Yeah, it's really similar to Bloodlust Brooch. Then you have Abacus. This is one item which drops in the Mechana. This is one item that's also going to be farmed a lot. Different classes want to get this, like especially for example Red Paladins. This one again gives you 64 attack power, same as Slayer's Crest, but the on-use effect actually gives you lots of haste for 10 seconds. It's basically like a Kiss of the Spider with more haste. So Kiss of the Spider in TBC will give you 200 haste, this will give you 260 haste. But again, Kiss of the Spider lasts 15 seconds, this lasts 10 seconds. However, pretty nice trinket. It's also pretty fun to use, since again haste is really fun in general. So yeah, this is also one of the best trinkets you can use here. So definitely you can make some choices here, but it will be contested. So yeah. What you can, however, do is basically one of your setups can be Bloodlust Brooch and Abacus. Actually, yeah, not really actually, because there are 2 on-use trinkets. My bad, not that. I mean Bloodlust Brooch and actually one other trinket I mentioned in a bit. Which we have here, Hourglass. But yeah, again, the same thing is true here as well. You kind of want to use like an on-use trinket and passive trinket. It's a bit different for badge, however. This one works a bit differently. But yeah, that's kind of how it will go. For alternative, we have Hourglass of the Unraveler. This drops in Black Morass from Temporus. This was pretty much previously one of the pre-built best in slot trinkets you can use. It's still pretty much true, but again, other trinkets, more math and so on, it was pretty much discovered, man, I said pretty much again so many times, that this item, like Abacus for example, is a better item, stuff like that. But again, it's one of the passive items you can use. Gives you lots of crit, and if you crit, you get like a attack power buff for 300 for 10 seconds, if it procs actually. So yeah. However, this item, I remember I tried night and day to farm this item, and the Black Morass is also a really annoying dungeon. By the end of it, when I finally got it, I think I was exalted, even with the Caverns of Time reputation. So yeah, that was something, I would say. Really nice trinket, however. Definitely something you should grab. Maybe you get lucky and it drops in your only run from the Black Morass. Would be kind of funny. So, weapons. For weapons, we have many things we can use here. You can see there's lots of text here. I would kind of try to summarize this one. So basically, we have one weapon which is always going to be pretty much in our main hand, which is Dragon Maw. So you can see this right here. We will use this item until we get Warglaives or samurai weapons. So yeah, it is that insane. It is a pretty crazy weapon. It is so good that like we are pretty much all going to use it all the way till we are almost done with the game. And yeah, I really like the upgrade choice as well. Here you get Dragon Maw, and then you can try to like get glaives, and then you are like golden, which is kind of nice actually. Like the weapon progression is kind of nice here, but yeah. Offhand, obviously we have many more choices since we can't use 2 Dragon Maws, so it's like a unique item, and so like main hand only. We have again many options here. If you have lots of gold, we can make some options. Also, it's dependent if you are human or orcs. I talked about it again, many questions about this as well. Oh, I'm an orc, should I use axes? I'm a human, should I use that and that? Yes and no. I will talk about why in a bit, but it is not going to be that big of an issue like we had in Classic, where everything revolved around weapon skill and glancing blows. It's not that big of an issue anymore. Still, the expertise benefit we get is still going to be really nice. Especially it will make our warrior gameplay way more consistent, since dodges are a thing which kind of revolve around lots of luck as well. You can get really unlucky, all of your stuff gets dodged and you will sit around with 0 rage. Yeah, that can happen, or you like nothing gets dodged and you basically have no expertise. And you get really lucky. So again, this is also a pretty important thing. So let's talk about some weapons here. Let me pretty much skip all of this first of all. So for our main hand, we only have pretty much one option, which is Dragon Maw. Getting to Dragon Maw or Dragfist Hammer, which is not mentioned here for whatever reason, is going to take a bit. So you have some alternatives here. So yeah, basically again, best thing you can use here is Dragon Maw. I will get into how you can craft this as well in a bit, but yeah, we have some other options here as well. We have, for example, Blink Strike. All of these options are again mentioned as an offhand weapon, but these are like all one-handed weapons again, as you can see here, so you can perfectly use them in your main hand as well. Blink Strike, you can kind of ignore this one. This is really expensive, and also again a BOE wall drop epic. So if you have lots of gold, you can try to buy it if you want to. It is technically your best and sword offhand weapon, but yeah, it's also really expensive. We have Fell Edge Battle Axe. This one is something you can craft by blacksmithing, but again, this is also really expensive. Wouldn't really recommend it that much. However, it would make more sense than Blink Strike. We have Vindicator's Brand, requires Exalted with the Aldor, is actually a pretty decent choice to use. And you have some other like options here as well, which I will mention now as well. So yeah, for your main hand, the only really thing you want to use is Dragon Maw. One thing that is kind of exclusive with this item here, basically how you get it, you can't even craft this just alone. You would need to craft Dragfist Hammer first. So first of all, you craft this mace. This will require lots of materials, and you need to be a master hammersmith. So basically you need to be a blacksmith and also spec'd into that specialization, master hammersmith. Then you can try to get this. You need lots of materials, you can see it, primal fire, primal earth, eternium bars, corium bars. It will be really expensive, it will require lots of grinding. And then you can craft this one. You can see it right here. Yeah, we have many things, and you need 350 blacksmithing for the base version. One thing that is kind of exclusive to that blacksmithing weapon, we have actually more blacksmithing weapons we can craft. We have like one for swords, we have a mace, this is like the mace. We have also an axe. Yeah, we have also two-handed options as well. We have a two-handed mace, we have two-handed swords, stuff like that. So there are like many options, however only some are really good. And one thing that is only exclusively true about this item is that it has a proc. Like all of these blacksmithing items have a proc. It has it on the base version. We don't need to upgrade it to get the proc, which is really nice for us, because that pretty much means we can chill with this item a bit, save up some gold maybe for some other stuff, and then update it later, or upgrade it immediately if we have all of the stuff. But we are still going to have a really good weapon just from the get-go. You will see later what I mean by that as well when I talk about two-hand options. So yeah, this is a really good thing to have. The reason why this item is so strong is because of the proc. This proc will basically give you 15% haste on a proc, which is pretty insane. And yeah, obviously this is like really strong for warriors. This will basically enhance your rage generation by tons. And also it does lots of damage as well. I mean, in the first phases of the game, 100% is going to be like the highest damaging, one of the highest damaging weapons. Later on, obviously there are like weapons which would give you more damage on the item, but again the proc is still going to outshine these items as well. And we can upgrade it actually. Right from the first phase we can upgrade it to Dragon Maw, which will give us some stamina and again more damage on this item. The proc is still going to stay the same, will require some materials here as you can see. Primal Never, Primal Mic'd. Yeah, that is going to be pretty expensive, but still it's something you can do. Also you need to have more blacksmithing to upgrade this as well. So that's something. And then later on in phase 2 we can upgrade even once more into Dragon Strike. As you can see right here, 19 stamina then, and also again more damage. This requires however Never Vortex, which drop from bosses in phase 2. So from Tempest Keep, Serpent Shrine Cavern, you can get these Never Vortexes. I think actually they only drop from Tempest Keep, right? No, they drop also on Serpent Shrine Cavern. So pretty much from the raids, and that's something you will want to get, so you can upgrade this one obviously as well. Then you are kind of golden. Until you can try your luck with glaives. But yeah, that's for your main hand. This is always going to be your main hand. So you can think about using Dragfist Hammer here, using Dragon Maw, and then later Dragon Strike. So that's kind of how it works. It's pretty much the only option. If you would think, oh, Dragfist Hammer is kind of weak, you're still going to use it in your pretty much in your main hand. The proc is that good. Again, offhand, you have many more options. I mentioned some of them here. However, these are unless you want to go for Vindicator's brand, this is like the only option I would really recommend out of these. All of these weapons are also really close in damage. And one thing they have as well is they are kind of slow. Especially like Vindicator's brand and Blink Strike. The reason why this is important is because of this here. So in TBC, Whirlwind will hit with both weapons. I mentioned this a lot. So that's kind of like an argument to be made. Do you want to use a fast offhand or a slow offhand? We have different things we can mention here. If you use two slow weapons, it can kind of happen because of Dragon Maw's 2.7 speed. There are some weapons which have also the same speed where you can sync your weapons. That can be kind of a problem. One other thing, however, that's pretty important is that your Whirlwind will hit way harder with two slow weapons, because slow weapons have pretty much more damage on them. This doesn't, however, mean that you should get like a really bad slow weapon and disregard like really good, like better fast weapons. Like let's say you get like a really low level slow weapon and use it instead of like some really good fast weapon you already have. That is obviously not something you should do. So yeah, it is basically just because of the damage of the weapon. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. Again, this kind of depends on the different weapons we have, but yeah, that's basically how it works. Fast weapons will give you some quality of life stuff as well. So it's not always bad to use the fast offhand, but for AoE especially, you will do less damage. So that's kind of that. So we have some other recommendations we have here as well. This kind of depends also on your race. So you can see we have orc options and human options. Again, this fell edge battle axe, for example, would only be should be a thing that you can think of if you're an orc, for example. For other races, doesn't really matter since you don't have any racial in this case. So yeah, we have, for example, this mace here, which you can get from Brogrok and Heroic Blood Furnace. This is actually also a really nice one because it gives you expertise. So you can perfectly use this in your offhand. Has 2.4 speed, so this is also really good. Perfectly to pair it up with Dragon Maw, because again, Dragon Maw has 2.7. We have this one, which is nice for orcs. Oh, this is actually an X, I'm stupid. Yeah, so this is for orcs in this case. So these two, actually these three weapons are all good for orcs. Again, this is pretty rare to have on an item, some expertise, especially on weapons. So this is actually a pretty nice option. So if you are an orc, this could be one of your best weapons you can use in your offhand. If you don't want to go for Fell Edge Battle Axe or Vindicator's Brand, obviously later on you will have some alternatives you can use in raids. High Warlord's Cleaver, if you want to go for lots of PvP grinding, you can think about using this one. We have the Harvesters of Souls, obviously, also a pretty nice choice here. And one thing you don't see mentioned here is actually arena weapons. They will be in the Phase 1 Best in Slot guide. So that's why they are not going to show up here. For humans, we have Latros. This is one really nice weapon. Not only does it gives you expertise, it is pretty fast as well. 1.4 speed, it's pretty crazy. 15 agility, 26 attack power. So a really good weapon. It is fast, so you will do less AoE damage. And this is also pretty needed by, for example, rogues. Rogues really want to get a really fast offhand. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. So basically, a pretty crazy stacked weapon you can think of. So that's kind of how it works. Goes from Black Morass. So if you are grinding the Trinket, for example, you can also try to get this one. I saw this item so many times. I could have probably filled my whole inventory with this item when I was farming the Trinket. So yeah, it's not going to be really hard to get this. We have Blood Skull Destroyer. That's actually what I meant previously. Also for humans, Heroic Alt Hill Spread, Foothills. Not a dungeon lots of people will do. So yeah. And then we have some other stuff here, Edge of Chaos, a Cosmos. This is actually a pretty nice weapon as well. And it looks really sick as well. So yeah. Man, why do we have a Tauren here? This should be on a human, but yeah. Definitely also a nice choice. Again, you have many options. You also have the Grand Marshal Slicer. We have basically the level 70 version of the rank 14 weapons here. But there are better weapons we can get from PvP actually. We can get the arena weapons, which are obviously better than these ones. But yeah, this is obviously also a choice you can make here. So you have many weapon options, but these all revolve around your offhand. Every single one. So your mainnet is pretty much locked in. That's kind of how it works. For two-handed, it's pretty much the same thing. We have... Again, blacksmithing weapons are going to be the best one. In this case, it's actually sword specialization, not sword specialization, but you want to be a swordsmith for Lionheart Blade, Lionheart Champion, that you can use. You can see this one will last you until like pretty much in phase 2, then will last you until phase 3, and it's like on par with the best swords from raids in phase 2. So if you make the commitment to go swordsmithing, if you are like an arms warrior enjoyer, you can think of using this one. The most important thing you want to have is sword specialization. Sword specialization is basically the best one. Even if you use a really good weapon, you can, for example, think of this one. Here's like also a disclaimer. Deep Thunder is one mace that is really good for PvP. And you would use that one with mace specialization. Maybe you would think of, oh, maybe I can make like the switch here. I also talked about this as well. But you will lose out on some damage here. It says pretty much here 7%. But that is kind of like a pretty big deal In this case, 7% of your damage is actually a lot. Don't forget, if you, for example, got like the Diamond buff, that was all like a 10% damage increase, and that was like one of the most broken world buffs ever. So yeah. Again, however, I still stay by my statement saying, depending on what you really want to get here, is if you want to make the commitment, there's like a difference. If you want to play Arms Warrior because you want to help out your guild, stuff like that, that's one thing. Like if you still have the plan to go Fury later, stuff like that, I would still stay Mace specialization. No, Mace Smith in this case, and then just use that until you have like some other stuff later on, until you can get maybe glaives, stuff like that, and you just want to help out your guild. If you're an Arms Warrior enjoyers and you want to really chase the numbers, then go for Sword specialization, craft Lionheart Champion. Again, we will have equivalent options in phase 2, so remember that. It is not like this mace we have as Fury Warriors, where we will use it pretty much until we can get glaives. It is not like, it doesn't work like that. We have some weapons which are equivalent and better weapons later on. So yeah, that's like one thing that's pretty important. So let's look at these weapons. We have Lionheart Champion, obviously. This is something you can craft by, we can look at this, and this is also one of the annoying things as well. First of all, we need to craft actually Lionheart Blade. So this is that weapon. And this weapon has like obviously lots of damage, it has like lots of strength and so on, but the proc, actually the like effect you're getting is just some fear resistance, which is pretty useless. So you 100% need to actually upgrade this to gain the effect of this weapon. I talked about this as well later on. So yeah, you can upgrade it to Lionheart Champion. Same thing as you can upgrade Drakefist Hammer to Dragonmaw. And then you will get this proc here, which increases your strength by 100 for 10 seconds. Chance on it. Basically, Crusader proc. So that is obviously really big. But again, you need to upgrade it. And same story here. To upgrade it, you need some Primal Never, Primal Might, and you need to be 375 Blacksmithing. So it is way bigger of a commitment than actually Drakefist Hammer. And that is kind of a problem in itself. So yeah, if you're an arms enjoyer, however, definitely one thing you can pick here, choice you can make here. We have other swords, however, we can also think of using. You can, for example, see here we have the rare Quantum Blade, which has like a really low drop chance, and it's 5% worse than the sword here. And we also have like another weapon, which is like this one, which you can get in Heroic Dungeon, which is 9% worse. However, one thing I mentioned as well is Arms Warriors are not going to be expected to do lots of DPS like Fury Warriors, because you are still going to bring the really useful effect of Blood Frenzy to the whole raid. So yeah, people are going to overlook that. They are pretty much going to look at Fury Warriors. If a Fury Warrior isn't going to pull his weight in DPS, he's going to get replaced way faster than an Arms Warrior, because Fury Warriors, all they bring is just Battle Shot. So yeah. Again, these other options, Quantum Blade, really rare drop from Heroic Black Morass. So yeah, this will be really rare to get. If you have it, you can think of skipping Lionheart Champion and such. Endbringer's also pretty nice weapon as well, which it's obviously easy to get. Heroic Underbog. Both of these dungeons are something not lots of people will do, since, for example, the Black Morass Heroic is, like, Black Morass in general is a pretty annoying dungeon, so yeah. Like the whole Caverns of Time dungeons, not everyone is going to do it in Heroic. Man, this weapon looks so cool as well. This looks so sick, actually. What? I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even remember that weapon, actually. But yeah, I didn't really do lots of Underbog runs. We don't have any alternatives here. But again, general thing, swords are the best thing you can get, followed by axes. Even if you are an orc, you should still go for swords, because sword spec is so strong. Then you have axes, obviously, there are some good axes in the game as well. And then after that, you have mace spec. Mace spec is pretty much the worst. It is not going to give you lots of benefits in PvE. So that's kind of how it goes. If you have a good mace, however, if you have like Deep Thunder and you care more about PvP, just use that one. And yeah, then you can kind of think of that. Maybe you have like 2 arms specs, one for PvP, one for PvE. As I can see people doing that actually. That's obviously a choice you can make here. For ranged weapons, we have basically one thing we can get, which is Members Insurance. This one is from a quest in Neverstorm, and again, like I talked about it, Neverstorm has some pretty cracked quest rewards, and this is one of them. Yeah, it is really good, and basically it also says it here, equivalent to a Karazhan bow, so you are pretty much good for the whole phase 1 if you get this, and it's also a pretty easy quest to do. So 100% get this, and then you are good. You don't really need to care about all of the alternatives here. You can think of, oh, maybe I need some hit. You can think of maybe raising the Hellfire Peninsula reputation to Exalted, like either Honor Alt or Thrallmore, depending on your faction. That can give you like a hit option here as well. It's an even 1% hit though. But yeah, that's like an option you have here. However, Mouse Insurance is just the best thing you have. So that's basically it. Again, more of a longer video, more of a through explanation of some of the choices here. But yeah, I think that is pretty important to mention. We have, again, many options here that we can use. Some stuff changed around here, like don't stress it too much. Basically, Karazhan and so on is going to be pretty easy. You will replace many of the things here as well, so don't go all out for your pre-red BIS. Some important things, however, are obviously, for example, Dragonmaw, the trinkets, and I would say also things like the rings are also pretty nice to have. They can last for a longer time because the rings will be contested by lots of people. You have better rings and raids, however. Like Karazhan already, like the last boss, can drop a really nice ring. But yeah, good luck getting that one. It will be pretty difficult. That's kind of how it goes. That's just everything I wanted to mention here. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask them. As always, I will try my best to answer them. So yeah, don't feel discouraged if I don't like answer your question. Sometimes I'm just doing some other stuff, I'm busy and such, and can't answer everything immediately. So yeah, but I will try my best. Again, if you like these videos, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day. Goodbye.